crepe, a crepe, is it an egg dish?
No.
See?
What's your justification, though?
Hey, this is Shuyler Mal. Welcome to the Next Boots from Start to Finish podcast. Got joined here by Rebecca Burnham, Kelsey Lursback. We're going to answer some questions from Reddit, hopefully provide some answers. The first one is a question about the Turnball versus the Gamebreaker. These are pretty similar boots, to be honest. Really, the main difference is the LTT on the Gamebreaker. There's a comment in there about water resistance. I think that is frankly probably an oversight on our website. They should be pretty similar, assuming they're both equipped with the same leather.
Yep.
They're both 365 stitched, so should offer that nice benefit of kind of preventing encroachment through the welt. But yeah, I mean, really about the LTT. So if you prefer the LTT, get the Gamebreaker. If you want that not lace to toe look, go with the Turnball. Rebecca, does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, pretty similar. So apologies for maybe not being as clear as possible there. Okay, what YouTube channels should I be watching? I need more content. Well, I did participate in this thread. Obviously, we recommend Next Boots. I think you're going to be seeing some more kind of personalized content from us. That's Kelsey's objective here this year. So you'll probably get more explainer videos and that sort of thing to kind of highlight more things about the product. I don't know, I really like Tring shoe repair. There were some great answers in there. I feel like that broader influencer world has changed a lot since we kind of really were heavily participating in 2020 to 2021. But it's, there's still a lot of good information out there, but I do feel like sometimes, there's competing pressures, right? Maybe I'll just leave it at that with everyone. And, you see some boots that are featured on there, and I do I'm not really pointing fingers at anybody, but that format lends itself to quantifiable differences, right? So people focus on things that I don't necessarily think are that big of a significant, right? Whether that's SPI on a sole stitching, seal, or I understand that that's typically a hallmark of luxury boots or high-end boots, but I'm in kind of the work boot space, yeah, you definitely do tend to see a little more spacing. But I think it's useful to have a reference between two different things that you can kind of immediately put up there and show to the audience. I do think it would be interesting to see more certified testing data, so there's some labs you can, we do this for our own products, and we'll check pull testing on the sole, for example, or puncture resistance and that sort of thing. And I know some people do some of that, but I do think there are some kind of more comprehensive things that we consider when we're kind of developing a boot and looking at it from a durability standpoint that I think would be useful. The machines to do it are kind of pricey, and so it's not super feasible to have all that stuff in-house. So you do send it off, which is not that expensive, but I think would require a decent amount of coordination. There's a lot of information out there. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what to believe. I think sometimes even on the same channels, there's things that are, and I don't think it's out of malice or anything like that, but it's hard to know everything about the boot world. I feel like we know quite a bit about our little niche of it, but I go visit some factory or some, partner or something like that, and they do things completely differently, and not necessarily because it's worse or better. It's just kind of different. There's a lot of things we don't even know, outside of our own little specific niche. Is there any content that you enjoy out there, either one of you?
I've gotten a few recommendations for the Fat Electrician. I haven't watched any yet, but
we've worked with
on
him.
My list.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
What do we do
We've worked with pretty much everybody at some point. I can't think of somebody that we haven't. I mean, I'm sure there is somebody. Remember, we used to be influencing. We were doing a lot. Yeah, so I think from an entertainment value out there, there's a lot of good options. I think if you're looking at like authoritative boot content, that's maybe tougher to find, but that's okay. Because we can present it and we try to be super transparent, but like it's hard to be completely impartial.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to tear apart like competitor boots and that sort of thing back in the day? Yeah. Those views were fun. I will say that.
Yeah.
Possibly made a few enemies. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so I don't know. I really like, I'm going to go train shoe repair. I like that. There you go. And the fat electrician. Cool.
Have you ever, this is a side note, have you ever watched Steve MRE on YouTube?
Mm-mm.
It's this guy who just gets like old MREs from all over the world.
Oh, man.
And like goes through them and cooks them and then eats it and rates it. Talks about how they were preserved, like all this stuff. He's even got like the little tin ration tray he puts everything on. My dad and boyfriend are both Marines, so they really enjoy watching it. But it's pretty good.
No, that's
For
good.
entertainment. It's not boot related, but it is interesting to see how different countries like prep differently and put like different nutritional like aspects in their MREs and stuff.
Are there any countries that are better than others?
I haven't watched enough to know kind of what his feedback on that is, but they're kind of fun. And then one time he got like a food dehydrator and made his own, which was kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
So,
yeah, I was reading an article. There's this like new movement about processed foods and everything and how bad they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that's not great for Mr. MRE. No. Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Nutritional density. You need to avoid that.
Interesting.
I know. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, so sorry. I don't know. It's kind of a tough topic to address for us. I've got to be honest with you. So I'm going to think more about that.
Yeah. Also, YouTube content in general. I feel like it's harder to find channels that are like one thing. Just in general on YouTube. Like a lot of the channels that I've watched historically are like, I do 3 or 4 different things now.
Well, right. Everybody needs to diversify. It's like, how many times can you? I remember when like Weston pivoted to like motorcycles, and I don't think that that was tough. But yeah, you got to have different audiences, different things to keep people interested with. Okay. So basically, this is about like saturation on Weather Shield leathers. And so in this specific example, somebody had a Weather Shield boot. It got saturated. The foot didn't get wet, but the leather did absorb some water. So Rebecca, you reached out to your partner about this, and he's a scientist. So what did he have to say?
Yeah, so I did start with our leather department and asked them, and they said, it's leather. Leather does weird things sometimes. Important thing. Well,
I have a better answer than that.
Water didn't get in your boot. So yeah, I reached out to Eric. Basically, it's what I assumed, because Weather Shield leather it's impregnated with silicone instead of just like a surface.
It's not a surface treatment.
Yes. So on the surface, it's probably going to look spotty and inconsistent because the material has soaked into the leather. So the deeper it is in the leather, the more it's going to absorb on the surface. So basically, it's absorbing into the surface because the material isn't evenly dispersed across the surface, but it is sealed on the inside of the leather, basically.
Yeah, I mean, so this goes through a test. It's called a Maser test. And having just a surface seal would not be sufficient for that. And so basically, like, you get these chemicals that make it, water resistant. And then they're actually inserted into the drum where the leather is tumbled around. And so it does get into kind of the whole hide. And so this Maser test is like a little arm that bends the leather up to over 10,000 times to make sure that the crease that's created still prevents water from going in. And so usually like that crease will be pretty abraded by the time that it's, run for 10,000 times. And so if it was just the surface, it would let the water through. So yeah, it's supposed to be kind of throughout the leather itself and not necessarily just like I used to work in textiles and we would call this like a DWR, durable water resistant coating. And that's what you see on most of your like rain jackets and that sort of thing. And that's literally just a coat of hydrophobic material that goes on the outside of your jacket or whatever, and just stops it makes the water bead instead of absorb. But like beneath it is not necessarily a waterproof material. It could just be a standard guy, depending on the level of water resistance you're paying for, basically. But yeah, I would say it's okay if you get some saturation as long as it doesn't penetrate.
Yeah, and if it bothers you, you can probably put Ovenoffs or some other waterproofing spray on it.
Yep.
It would be fine.
Snow Seal or something. Yep, absolutely. Oh, this is for you. Just received an email about my boots being scheduled for production, and I'm super hyped. I do want to make a few changes, one of them potentially being half soles. Is this a possibility? Or half soles production still paused? I can answer this, actually.
Yeah, the half soles, that's been an ongoing conversation.
Well, we do have them now. So we basically stopped offering the Vibram versions because they were not wide enough, basically, for the full size range. So we've actually made a couple sample boots in the Dr. Soul Super Grip, which do seem to accommodate kind of the full range. I think they look great. So we're kind of sending those out for a few test customers. But I would expect to see those as an option here fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So great job sending the change order email.
Yeah. So if there's ever a situation like that where you're not sure if we can make a change about something, just reach out. We may have to put your order on pause for a little bit. If we know it's something like, half soles, we may be getting them in soon. We try and give you an estimate as to how long you might be waiting. So you can decide if you want to wait for those or just go ahead with something else that we have now.
Yes. So half soles are coming back. You'll see them here fairly shortly. Questions from a noob. So this is a question about removing the insole in a 365 stitched tactical. It's fine. It is glued on, but you can definitely take it out. You're going to see some exposed nail heads underneath there. And so I think as long as you're replacing it with like a thicker insole, I think it's fine.
Yep.
If you're not replacing it, I would not do that.
Yep.
So it does kind of cover up those nail holes and hopefully make it a little more comfortable than stepping on nails, which is not what you want.
And then if you're putting thicker insoles in, it'll snug up the boots a little bit as well, but they should stretch.
Yeah. So before we part, any other common questions, Rebecca, that you see us encountering in customer service? Kelsey, you're trolling YouTube all day. Anything pop up?
It's mostly coupon codes.
Yeah, that's become a bigger bugaboo. Because we've had coupon codes over the past, many years. And these coupon sites, or if you have a Honey browser extension or something like that, they'll suggest this coupon. And the coupon was maybe it stopped working a year ago, but they'll still suggest it. And so I'm assuming people will call up and be like, hey, why doesn't this coupon code work?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, well, that's it. Kind of a short one. We'll get you some more questions answered here in a bit, but really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're having a great start to January and that you have a wonderful 2025. I'm Shuyler Mao for Rebecca, for Kelsey. We'll talk to you later. Talk to you. Bye.
Okay, my question today, Shuyler, has been the only thing that almost tore Becca and I apart.
Was it a man?
No.
It was food.
And your weird stuff?
Food related.
What did she make? You call it a trash plate or something?
My sad girl dinner.
Your
That's
shame meal.
My shame meal. No. Okay, so I'm just going to ask this question plainly. We'll give you context after you answer it. Is a crepe, a crepe, is it an egg dish?
No.
See?
What's your justification, though?
Eggs
What
are
makes
not,
it
eggs
not
are
an
not
egg
the
dish?
primary focus of the dish.
Interesting.
The primary focus.
Interesting.
Becca.
'Cause
Is a cookie an egg dish?
statistically, a crepe is more egg than a quiche.
Is a cookie a crepe dish?
A
No,
crepe
but
dish.
it's also not predominantly egg in the ingredient list. A crepe is proportionally more egg than a quiche.
Does it taste like egg?
Does it have to? So that's really the root question here is what makes something an egg dish?
So then the real question is, what is an egg dish?
I think an
Where's
egg
the line?
dish is where the flavor of the egg is like a primary contributor.
Interesting.
Because I
Well,
guess
maybe
like
that
Feel
a
Becca?
quiche isn't an egg dish in my opinion.
yes,
What?
it is absolutely. It's eggy as heck.